I'm joined by the glowing Shaun Finn under his LED rig. Shaun, how are you doing?
Not too bad, Thomas. How are you? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. We last caught up, was it around August time, wasn't it? And,
Yeah, it was about
you know,
the time that your clothes came out. So roughly about August, July last year, 2020, 2021
yeah,
actually. I keep doing that. Anytime someone says 2020, I keep thinking that's last year
yeah,
because everything's just flown by so
yeah,
quickly.
it's
So
kind of 2022.
everyone's like 2020. Yeah, it just feels like it's now we're still early in 2022, but still that doesn't feel like 2 years ago now at this stage,
Yeah.
does it?
But yeah, no, so what have you been up to since we last chatted?
I'm in the middle of my final year of college at the moment, so I've been working away on that, getting that done, and also just I've not been writing as much as I'd like to be. It was only something I was actually talking about with one of my friends the other day that like, geez, like the college work has really taken over, and I haven't written as much as I probably would have liked to have written. But what I am writing is better because it's not as much crap. Because I know the time I have to write is so kind of small and valuable right now. So yeah, little bits here and there, but yeah, mainly a lot of college work during my final year.
Yeah. And I guess when we spoke last time, COVID still seemed quite a big deal. I mean, it still is, to be fair, isn't it?
Mm.
But I
Of
don't know
course, yeah.
how do you think sort of in the post COVID world, how has that sort of affected your songwriting
Yeah,
career in general?
well, the career thing is kind of like I'm in a very different place in my like musical journey now than I was at the start of COVID. Like when COVID first came along, like I was very like I wanted to I was kind of I was gigging a lot more and I was going out and I was doing things and I had a lot more connections just from bumping into people and you didn't take down people's numbers and stuff because you saw them so often and then that kind of was all ripped away from you. And I haven't done like a public gig since COVID. I've only done a couple of behind the doors kind of things, and I'm a bit apprehensive to get back out there because I'm afraid I don't know like how it's going to be perceived because as much as I don't want things to be about money, things have to also be financially viable. If we could do a on a gig, we got to make the money back from it and that sort of stuff, and choosing the right venue and. I don't want to have ass things, so it's basically I've just been overthinking a lot as well. But yeah, it's definitely like I would say I'm a lot more confident in my writing and my ability to produce a musical product. But like my live life and that sort of scene has kind of taken a massive hit, and I need to really just rip off the band-aid and get out there soon, which I really want to do once I finish up in college.
Yeah. New single out, congratulations, Go Away. It's a beautiful little
Thank you very
acoustic
much.
track, isn't it? For those that
Thank
haven't
you.
heard it,
I like
yeah, no,
it.
I
Pardon?
like it too. And so the charts in Ireland, but we'll get to that later. So people that haven't heard
Yeah.
it, how would you sort of describe the track? What's the story behind it?
Well, the story behind it is my basically one of my friends moved away to Galway, and I just was missing them. And it was in the first couple of weeks. It was a really close friend that had moved off and got. I just got like for context, anybody who's not from Ireland listening to this, like Dublin and Galway are the complete opposite sides of Ireland. Like Dublin's the west coast, and no, sorry, Dublin's the east coast and Galway's the west coast. So like they're total polar opposites. So I don't just haven't gotten to see my friend as much, and it was just a song about like kind of reflecting on how good things were, and like while you're happy for them for like taking a big step in their life, it's just yeah, it's a song about missing your friends, really, and it's a nice chill vibe. It's not a very depressing song, thankfully, for once. I'm like live my life, which is a lot of my friends say, yeah, it's a good song, but Jesus Christ, it's depressing because the BPM is something like 77 or something like that. Always a bit more upbeat at like 122 or something. I don't know, 115 I think it is. But yeah, it's a really chill song. Like the way I've been pitching it to like radio stations when they're playing it, like it's a very chill acoustic. It's not something that's going to make you dance. It's a nice little foot tapper, just to kind of you know pass time by. Like I like it's probably the song I've listened to the most since it's come out. Like because I'm not sure if other artists or other creators will kind of relate to it, but when when I bring a song out, I've been listening to the song for probably 3 or 4 months before, going through different mixing processes and kind of being blinded by some things, and then when it comes out, listening to it for probably 2 or 3 weeks. Like quite a lot of the time, what I'll do is like I'll stick my song on first, then I'll listen to an album, stick my song on again, listen to a playlist or
Mm.
an EP or a podcast or something like that, and then before I go, like I try and make it a thing to listen to an album every morning and try and make it a new album. Like it takes me 2 hours to get to college, so I do have a lot of time on transport to kind of just to like kind of switch off and listen to music in that deeper way. But like Galway has been definitely the one I've listened to the most. Like Galway's been now over a month now, it'll be nearly 2 months in about 2 weeks, and I still like quite regularly stick that on. So I think that's a very good sign for me anyway.
Yeah, no, and as I mentioned earlier, they got number one in the Irish charts. That's unbelievable achievement, isn't it?
That was huge. Like I couldn't believe that. Like that wasn't like a big plan to do that.
Mm.
I was going up against another extremely talented Irish songwriter, Roisin O, and Moncrief. I think there's another guy who's making waves over here, and Roisin released a song called Stolen, and I'm lucky enough to be very acquainted with Roisin. She's lovely, lovely, lovely person. And I see her. She was number one earlier on today. I was like, "Yep, that's fine. That's not." But I always check just because you never
Mm.
know.
Just
Like,
in
I
case,
think
yeah.
my highest before that was third with late replies, and my highest single I think was Live My Life was highest with 13. So I wasn't expecting a number one in any way, shape, or form, but thankfully through the great support of my followers, my friends, my family, like, my girlfriend was like, texting people in work being like, "Oh my god, he's nearly there," like, and it became really really heartwarming. And I didn't really I didn't know how to react. Like I made a video on Instagram there a few weeks ago because people keep asking me like, "Oh, what's it like that must be so cool." I just don't know how to describe it because it's something that is it's so cool, and it's hard to put into words that, like, of everyone in the country that week, or in that period who was releasing music, or like, going like, just like, commuting playlists, that this guy from Blanche got to number one. Like I couldn't believe it, and I was only delighted with it, of course. Like, yeah, I was just extremely humbled by it. Like, I try and never take things for granted. I was just thanking every single person, and if you did buy the song, thank you so much as well.
How do you sort of find out? Is it, you got like an email, or do you literally just check the charts and go, "Oh, we're number one"?
I'll just well, no, I don't get an email. It was kind of thing of like throughout the day. I just keep checking it because I
Mm.
think when it came, I think I woke up that morning and it was somewhere around 27 or 25 or something like that. And then as the day went on, the song kind of started getting streamed a lot more, and it was getting listened to, and it got played on radio a couple of times. And I done quite a lot of press for it as well. To be fair, like, this probably the only release that kind of compares to it is Late Replies. But for a single, it was definitely like my most, like, successful in terms of like PR campaigns and that sort of stuff as well. So that also had a huge part to play in it. But like I still haven't gotten an email to say, oh, it was number one. Like I just kept checking it for my own personal interest, should I say. And some of my friends as well were keeping me updated because I didn't want to fixate on it. But when it
Mm.
got into top five, that's when I was like, shit, we could get number one here. Like, that was just kind of a thing. I went on live on Instagram. The Instagram live went really, really well. And I was hoping that on the Instagram live, I had my laptop to my left and my phone on my LED light with a piano, and I was like playing the piano and like checking the charts at the same time. I was hoping it would happen on the live. It didn't. I was live for about an hour and a half, 2 hours between like 9 and 10, half 10, and it just didn't happen. And then about 11 o'clock at night, that's when I went into number one. It stayed number one through like the most of Saturday, and then as obviously better songs by bigger artists start to come into the fold, we did start to go down. But come here, I was just delighted to be up there. I was just happy to be in the conversation with them.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know.
honestly, yeah, unbelievable feeling, yeah. And you also recorded a music video for the track. Is that your first music video for Galway, or you've done none
Yeah,
before?
yeah. It was. It's funny because I'd always been when I was younger, and even before I wanted to be a musician, I always thought, oh, what music video? I was like, what's the point of music? It should be about the music, not the music video. Like, and I still try and make that a point of it's more about the music. But then as you kind of like grow up and you learn about marketing and you learn about like how to kind of like get yourself out there as an artist, you kind of need a music video and you need micro content and all this sort of stuff. And like, I think a good music video can be really, really effective. Like, you only have to look at a Thriller video to kind of see what a music video can do for a song. Like, and it can be like, I didn't make anything like Thriller. The original plan was for like an actual filmmaker. I had a filmmaker who was going to come on board and do the song with me, and like, we were going to shoot it for a weekend and do lots of different stuff. But then, unfortunately, about a month before the song came out, we were going to shoot it a month before, have it ready to go for the week after Galway came out. But then, unfortunately, just stuff came up in his personal life, so we couldn't do it. And that was like, all I could. There wasn't much I could do about that. So I just tried to do my best with my iPhone. All that footage is shot on my iPhone. So
Oh wow, seriously.
yeah,
Yeah, how did you
just
find being,
sorry.
how did you find being, the star actor? Did you quite enjoy that?
I actually do enjoy acting. Anybody who knows me personally will know like I've had a long history with kind of just doing art and creative as well as music.
Mm,
I've been in musicals, in six different musicals. I've done short films. I've done lots of different kind of theatrical things. Like I do really like to jump into that. So it's not something I was really uncomfortable with. Although there is that thing, I was kind of worried when I remember shooting this because I just done everything was pretty much done with my LED light, my
mm.
iPhone, me walking somewhere, or my girlfriend filming me on my phone. That's the whole shoot. If anybody wants filmmaking 101 tips, that's where you're going for. But there's the thing at the start of the music video where like I'm in my bed, my actual bed, and I just turn over. It's like, oh man, my mates are gonna give me so amount of like crap for that, like just because I'm in bed, like just in my boxers, like turning over, But nobody said that about it, which was kind of cool. But now that I've mentioned it, now everybody's probably gonna mention
Yeah, you should not have said that. Yeah.
because everyone is gonna watch the R Sound interview because R Sound are class.
Yeah.
um,
Moving away
but
from
yeah, no, it
music.
was really.
Go ahead, sorry, mate.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry.
I was going to say, moving away from music, you mentioned last time that you're a big Chelsea fan. It's a interesting time to get a blue, isn't it, at the minute?
Yeah, obviously the situation in Ukraine is horrible,
Yeah.
but like, then it's also hard not to feel a little bit salty with what's going on as well as a Chelsea fan. Um, yeah, come here. It's a tough one. Like I'm always gonna. I've supported Chelsea since I was 6 or 7 years old. Like my granddad supports Chelsea, and that's why I support Chelsea. I'm not one of those. I didn't just jump on board because we were really successful. Like my grandfather supported Chelsea through like
Mm.
relegation and through all the tough periods. Like before we got really successful. That's why I'm a Chelsea fan. And yeah, it's definitely a sticky one because I'm always going to back up the club and the players and the manager. And I love Tuchel as much as I didn't want to see Lampard go. I absolutely love Thomas Tuchel. I love a lot of the players. Like Chelsea. It's like the two things in my life that you can ask my girlfriend. There's like three things in my life that like take top priority, and she's number four. It's it's Marvel movies or TV shows and stuff, music, football. Then she gets to go.
Yeah, great. And if we speak, I'm sure you will speak again in about 6 months, a year. But what's the plan? What's the where do you want to be in the next 6 months?
In the next 6 months, I keep saying this to myself over the last like year or two that I just want to kind of keep growing. And I kind of mentioned before, I've done a lot of growing in like over COVID, like so what I would like to do is I would like to get out there playing more shows, like doing those bigger crowds, getting some proper support slots in, like that's what my main thing is. I'd like to be getting support slots this year. I'm not too worried about doing headline shows and that sort of stuff. That'll come when it comes, and I can't do things half. This is the problem with me. Like I can't do it like half-arsed. Like, and this is like people can sometimes see it as lazy, but like I won't do something if I can't give it 100%. Like so if I can't do it brilliantly, I won't do something that's like okay. It's like no, I have to give it everything. So sometimes you're like, oh, like no, you didn't do this, you did that. It's like yeah, because I knew I couldn't make it good enough, so I didn't try to do it. Like I didn't try to do a half-ass. Like I won't do a half-ass. Like and that's like the same when it comes to mix and mastering. Like the one thing with the Galway release was that the music video, and that's why I wanted the filmmaker involved. Like and you could argue that that was a little bit half-arsed, but to be fair, I had to learn how to edit videos in a week. So,
Yeah.
and it's a skill that served me well, like, but that's what I mean, like, and when I decided to still do that, I was like, right, well, that's another skill that I'm going to acquire that's going to get better over time. So that way, the next time I do a music video, it has to be better than Galway's. So I can't half-ass the next one, like, so it's kind of like giving room for maneuver and that sort of stuff, like.
That's good and
But
talented
yeah,
isn't it?
the plan for this year, like I said, just kind of keep doing support stuff. So I would like to release two more songs this year. At the moment, I'm working with a producer, James Quinn. James Quinn mixed Galway. It was also the first time I'd gotten somebody else on board to mix one of my songs and publish it. Like so I'm kind of like expanding the roster. Like getting I'm lucky enough that my girlfriend is a graphics designer, so like I can get some amazing stuff done, and maybe have a website at some stage. But the big things are playing gigs and releasing two more songs. I'm hoping for like another song to come out in July ish, kind of, and then another one around November. That's the plan. There's no plan for another EP at the moment, but we'll kind of see. And once I kind of said before, when I finish college, I'll have more time to write again. I'll have more time to kind of lay out a plan for music specifically. So that's when that's going to kind of come to the forefront again.
Cool. And finally, last time you spoke, you were pretty unequivocal about Christmas songs. Are you still never going to record a Christmas single?
No, I don't think so. I was
No.
actually only thinking. I was thinking I should do like an anti-Christmas song as like a marketing thing. Be like, yeah, Christmas, like hate Christmas and blah blah. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't like Christmas, and that could be a thing to like kind of go like, yeah, mom, look, let's band together. We hate Christmas time, but then also like you're probably not going to get played in Marks and Spencers and Dunn stores and TK Maxx and that sort of stuff with that sort of song,
Yeah, I think
yeah. There's no plans for a Christmas single in the next few years. I'll tell you that for a fact, anyway, Thomas.
oh, good to know. Shaun, thanks so much. Always a pleasure to chat to you.
Thanks very much, Thomas. You too. Cheers.
Cheers.